Warriors, we are losing ground on protections for our children in the United States. Let me explain what this means. I don't even know if I should tell you about this because this is just ridiculous, overwhelming. But you know what? You need to know. So I'm bringing it to you because you know what? You will not hear about this in mainstream media. So I'm going to actually read it to you, something I don't like to do, but I'm going to read the exact statement. Get ready, warriors. Let me find this and share with you, and you will mull it over and all to be discussed. Urgent message from the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children, referred to as NCMEC. On May 17th, the American Law Institute, or ALI, will vote on sweeping revisions to the Model Penal Code, which, if adopted by state legislatures, would roll back child safety laws championed by NCMEC over the last 38 years. Under ALI's recommendation, the public would no longer have access to state offender registry websites or any information about registered sex offenders in their communities. Not only would the public lose access to registry information, but those convicted of sharing images and videos of children being sexually abused, exploited, even raped on the internet would no longer have to register as sex offenders. And people who purchase children for sex would be immune from state sex trafficking charges and would be listed on the sex offender registry. I repeat, and people who purchase children for sex would be immune from state sex trafficking charges and would be listed on the sex offender registry. Warriors, say no now. House.gov, Senate.gov, contact your representatives and tell them we want a sex offender registry and we want those who purchase children on it. You know, warriors, this is just part of the war on our children that I've been telling you about all year, and it's only continuing, and it's only going to get worse. And that is all the more reason you need to become a warrior in your own home or community. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has an excellent website full of so much good information, resources, stats, studies, tutorials. I commend that you all go and visit it and gain some knowledge. And that is missingkids.org, the home of the Amber Alert. And if any of you remember out there, John Walsh started this 38 years ago after his son Adam, a little before that, was kidnapped. I don't know if you remember that whole story in Florida. And Adam Walsh. And that's how it all began. You know, here in New York, where I live, we had Eitan Pates, a 6-year-old, that his mother watched from the window of their apartment downtown for the first time she let him walk to the school bus stop on the corner. I could see him from the window, and he disappeared. And so Eitan Pates was responsible for putting kids on milk cartons. That's how that all started. And so where are we, 40 years later? We still have these problems. They're escalated and fueled by the internet, and nobody seems to be paying attention. Last night, in a matter of minutes, at 5:00 here in New York, thousands gathered in Foley Square, which is downtown in front of our courts. And with the Roe v. Wade, I wish all this media attention all day long on this subject. I wish this media attention could be put on our missing kids, protecting kids online, big tech accountability. A girl can dream, can't she? But we're working on all. I don't want to be too discouraging because the work has only begun. And I'll tell you why I'm hopeful, warriors, because today I led a panel discussion at New York Law School, and I brought to my friend, dear ally, Professor Jen Sunt, to her family law class, 3 warrior women survivors that told their stories. We're talking realities, not this pretty woman vision, not the pro-sex trade vision of my body, my choice, realities, the harsh realities of what's going on. These 3 women talked about everything from childhood sexual abuse, childhood sex trafficking, familial sex trafficking, domestic violence, the foster, I don't want to say care system, I don't even like that anymore, but I have to say foster care system fail, and how all three of them uh, were victims of a failed justice system. So my thinking, warriors, is I'm now going to go into law schools and I am going to have these warrior rep sessions, as I call them, and bring in these strong survivor leaders that want to share their stories, that have a purpose uh, in helping me and helping us understand what the realities are, sharing them with you to intervene and educate and not have new victims. Okay. I will tell you, and why I'm hopeful is sitting in front of 40 plus students. They were engaged. I'm a very good, watching an audience, very good at it. And I watched all of them. And on many of the subjects we touched upon, and it is overwhelming if you don't know any of this information, let's face it, these are our young people. And they would shake their head yes. And a couple of times, no. And I would say it was equal boys and girls in the class as far as a demo. And they asked some very interesting, good questions at the end. And we could have gone on another 2 hours because they were that engaged. So that gives me hope, because my hope is, and I told them, I know most of you in this room want to graduate and go on to working at a firm that will, be able to bill $600 an hour. But you also, it is mandatory now that you do pro bono work. Please consider, future lawyers of America, we need you to choose for your pro bono work family law, victims, survivors, child sexual abuse cases, family domestic violence cases, sextortion on the internet, and the whole host of things we talk about here on the Warriors. So that is my plan, to go out. If certain groups of people can go out and attack our youth and use our youth for other purposes in the education system and create agendas and create confusion and create chaos, well, you know what? So can the Warriors. So I'm going to get in there and I'm going to start with our prospective lawyers and start putting these ideas in their heads and infiltrating the education system that way. I want to remind you, Warriors, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I am urging all of you. I wrote an extensive weekly Warrior newsletter. To sign up for that, go to linswarriors.org, scroll down on the right side, e-newsletter, sign up. I will be sending that out again tomorrow afternoon, so there's still time and you have no excuse. We must get a hold of our youth. I've been talking about this all during COVID, anticipating I knew what would happen after COVID. The reports are trickling out. We have Dr. Vivek Murthy put out a rare advisory December 7th. I have spoken of it many, many times. It was virtually ignored by everybody. A 53-page, I don't even call it, they call it a rare advisory, 53-page report, 53 pages. The mental health of our children before COVID was on the decline, and COVID exploded and exposed. And it's all coming to fruition right now. As a matter of fact, we just had the story of the 16-year-old who committed suicide in the, I'm going to say in the media. I don't want to say in the news anymore, in the media. She was on that show, Toddlers and Tiaras on TLC, another complete horror story. Digressing a little bit, Warriors, turn it all off. Turn it off. If you haven't turned it off already, turn it off. Get the kids away from it. Get the teens away from it. We have to start drastically taking away devices, not buying devices, not paying for devices. But you know what? We don't want to go to war with our kids. We want to make our children our partners in all of this. We want to leverage the internet for good because it's not going away. It's here to stay. Now, more than ever, Warriors, we must start talking to the kids. And let me share some stuff with you today that I had my good friend Jan Edwards on my radio program today, WVOX here in New York, Lynn's Warriors. And She is boots on the ground. Jan is the president and CEO of Paving the Way Foundation, based in Orlando, Florida. And Jan is into, she calls it eyeball to eyeball, toe to toe, which I love, talking to the kids. Let's face it, warriors, you got to get in their face appropriately, get them to trust you, and start teaching them new ways. And of course, COVID held us up, but right now we're getting out there. And Jan was explaining she's done a lot in the last couple of weeks. She's traveled around the country also. Churches, um, schools, women's groups, all kinds of things. She shared with us that in talking with all the kids, they know what's going on online. Like, these kids are savvy. I'm talking preteen, teen right now. She also shared that they're getting exhausted from people approaching them online, expecting things from them online, ads being thrown at them online. And I say this is good news because you know what? They are starting, we have a couple of reports, they are starting to put the devices down. They've had enough, they're exhausted. So we want to encourage this healthy use of the internet. We want to also encourage, this week, May 2 through 8 is Screen Free Week. That means go to fairplayforkids.org, warriors. That is the website, fairplayforkids.org. Look at all the activities you can engage your children, your teens in. We have to get back to basics. I kid you not. We have to get back to always community and talking with the kids about everything. Okay? I'm trying to build with the warriors. It starts in your home. We spread it into the community, and we can build from there. So one, we'll start with communication with your kids, a must, but you have to know what you're talking about. You have to have some facts. We're never attacking the kids. We want to share it with them, talk to them. Hey, what apps do you have on your phone? Because we know the average 9 to 17 has 10 to 29 apps on their phone. We know we have children spending upwards of 8 hours a day online. Exhausting, isn't it, warriors? You got to sleep, you got to eat, you got to go to school maybe. You got a lot to do, and you got to be online 8 hours. It's an addiction. We can all agree. Go to fairplayforkids.org. Look at Screen Free Week happening now. Look at these activities, whether it's meditation, whether it's suggesting journaling, additional exercising. Get them off. If it's an hour a day, if it's 1 day a week, make a plan. If it's just during dinner time or breakfast time, start somewhere and build from there. Because we have seen, after doing this for the last couple of years, it's really tough, to be honest with you, getting the kids to engage in this. I have families that start the entire week screen free. And when I say screen free, that is everything from laptops to television sets to phones, everything, okay? They say after a couple of days of trying this, that by the third or fourth day, the children are actually liking it because they're spending more time doing other things that they haven't been used to doing, or spending time with family members, and they're liking it. But I know it's a tall order. So I say, 1 hour a day. We can all do that. So we have a lot going on, warriors. I want all of you to be aware of what is happening on the federal level. For instance, I just told you about the ALI, American Law Institute, and what they are, and it's comprised of lawyers and judges working on state issues of, legislation and how to make them, as they say, better. There's nothing better about doing away with the sex registry. Do you want a predator next door? I don't think so. But according to them, this is putting a stigma on that predator. Can you imagine a person who buys a child for sex cannot be charged with human trafficking? Because that's what it is. A child cannot consent to anything. So we, again, warriors, come together. We have a little bit of homework. You've got your screen-free week happening right now. You've got your information about Mental Health Awareness Month, May, happening now. Sign up for that newsletter. I have a lot of helpful information in there. I have some charts. I have tons of links that will help you read For instance, NAMI. You're familiar with NAMI? NAMI, National Alliance um, uh, Mental Association. And NAMI is all over our country. NAMI.org. NAMI.org. And forgive me, warriors, a little tired. I always do these videos late at night. And you want to find out indicators of what's happening with your child. We know coming out of COVID or in COVID, whatever this is, things like loss of appetite, change in sleeping patterns, isolating themselves, just change in personality, disruptive. Okay, those are some indicators. Normally, these things straighten themselves out, but if you see this persisting, it doesn't hurt, warriors. Have some take actions. First, start with your pediatrician. Talk to your pediatrician. Go a step further. Go to a mental health counselor. You usually need, or doctor, you usually need a recommendation from your pediatrician, family doctor. Start there. Also, check so many resources. You got to do a little, put a little elbow grease into this, warriors. Check local listings, what's around your communities, your towns, and if you have any kind of mental health programs where you can bring your child to be evaluated, or just even talk to somebody, or have your child talk to somebody, find out. And if they don't have an appointment available, get on a waiting list. Do it, warriors. The third thing is, and we cannot be shy or embarrassed about this, is we must talk to family members, friends, again, community, because this is so prevalent. Do they have a doctor they're using? Do their child exhibit any of these indicators for mental health? And ask them, who's your doctor? What are you doing about it? We need to share. Remember, this is grassroots mobilization. That is a tenet of the warriors. This is how we're getting work done, like this. Although we work on policy for New York City, state, and on the federal level, that's a whole separate program. And in the meantime, we have to do what we're doing with our own kids and family members. So you want to look for some of these indicators, and you also want to recommend, let me leave you with this. We talked about Fair Play for Kids. Again, that website is fairplayforkids.org. Look at the list of activities. Do it, just start doing one of them. Get the kids engaged in other ways, exercising. I don't know, bird watching, taking a walk, going on a bicycle ride. Sounds simple. Sounds corny perhaps to some. You know what? It's not. We must preserve the mental health of our children. We know in the last year, everything has escalated 35% upwards. I would say that is a low figure because that's what we know about. And remember, warriors, with these issues, trafficking, sexual exploitation, the numbers are always higher. We just don't know because people don't tell us about things. But we know it's about 35% in 1 year. We know that it is increasing. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you stats after stats. We know now in 2022, May, it is time to take action. It is enough. People should be protesting in the streets for our children, not protesting in the streets for other things. This is the number one crime in America. Nobody seems to be doing anything about it. So it's up to you and me, warriors. And we're going to do it. And we're going to start now. So please, I thank all of you for always following me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, linswarriors.org, linswarriors.org. Please consider a donation. I am working hard. I have so many things in development. I will be working again with the law schools. We'll be launching our pilot program, more on that in the fall, for parents and students in schools. We have some church things coming up. I'm open to any and all suggestions. We have some women's clubs coming up. We have some political things coming up. I will keep you aware of. Always drop me an email if you want and suggest anything, lynn@linswarriors.org, because we're all in this together, and only community creates change.